You're live.
Hey, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. This is your November 7th version of Kidney Disease Editorial Edition with Kenneth Sorenson. So it's been a good week. Lots of school stuff. Took a class on social media and digital marketing. So hopefully I'll get better at that. I'm working on it. Those of you that are prayers, I may have an opportunity for a job that I'm excited about. So let's hope that goes as planned. I'm really excited tonight. This is someone I have yet to have on the show, and man, she's infectious. Gosh, I don't know if there's anyone out there that works harder for kidney disease. Between Jared and her, I think it's a tight race of the people I know. Tonight I'm going to have Miss Lisa Baxter. When it comes to kidney disease, having it and helping with it, there may not be anything she hasn't dealt with or been a part of, that kind of thing. So she's got a wealth of knowledge. We're going to talk a little bit about her story in general, but we're also going to talk about her advocacy because I have a lot to learn from it. And those of you that are out there listening that are either looking for a kidney or wanting to get involved in general, Lisa has a wealth of information about it. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Miss Lisa Baxter to the show. All right. All right. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing tonight?
Woohoo! I'm alive and kicking, Kenneth. I'm alive and kicking.
Hey,
I'm so
you're more
glad
than
that
alive
you
and
had
kicking.
me tonight. I'm just glad to be here. That's all to it.
Well, I'm glad you said yes. I was excited. I wanted to have kind of some different people that I hadn't had on, and after watching a few of your shows, I can say this: you're different, and I like your approach, and I like your enthusiasm, and for somebody that just recently got a kidney transplant not too long ago, like we need people like you out there. So I appreciate it. So do me a favor. Let's start out. Tell me a little bit about your backstory, or tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Okay. Well, I had been on dialysis for 12 years, and I got on dialysis because my dad had polycystic kidney disease, and I had also, as you may know or not know, that I had 6 siblings on dialysis, 2 aunts, an uncle, and my mother-in-law. So after having the disease for such a minute, and I started learning about it and looking into it, because a lot of times when something go wrong with you, you don't always understand it or know about it, and sometimes it's not explained to you. So I dug a little bit into it, but I was afraid at first, you know what I mean, because I didn't know what dialysis was about, even though I had siblings on it. I mean, they talked about it and said some things, but sometimes you just want to be supportive because you're not dealing with it yet, but now the ball is in your park and you're going to have to swallow it and deal with it. But I did 12 years of dialysis, and I had low calcium, and I had low blood pressure, where I would pass out on the machine, or my pressure would get low on the machine. And as I progressed to be on it, it started happening to me when I wasn't on the machine. Out in the street, I passed out one time in church, and they poured some orange juice down my mouth. There's some of everything, to bring the pressure up and all kind of stuff. And sometimes you would have to get broth and stuff like that. But I was very had a lot of support with my whole family and my husband, Mitchell Baxter, being on dialysis all of that time. And he was a perfect match to give me a kidney, but we never got the chance to do that because he developed high blood pressure and then later on got colon cancer, and my baby passed away after 23 years of marriage. So he did help me to run that race and fight that fight, and I helped him to fight with the colon cancer fight. With Get Your Rear in Gear and the Polycystic Kidney Foundation. We all just been out there trying to do stuff just to bring awareness, and that's one of the biggest things. And birth out of my testimony and my story, God has been a great big part of that. I was able to write 5 books. I was able to start Blessed Kidney Connections, where I can help dialysis patients to get apartments, jobs, help them with immigration, steer them to referrals, write out a list, all kind of stuff like that. So I just wanted to bring awareness to every community and every place that I could, flying places, going places, whatever it took to get there and go there. And it's been a journey. It's been tough, but I was so glad to get my kidney that I named Hannah. And I've had her for 3 years. She's always worked. And I told every doctor that she would. So.
Well, and it's one of those things that sometimes I think people don't realize the power of positive thinking. Like Jared and I talked a little bit about it because when we go through dialysis, and I was only on for almost 5 years. I can't imagine 12. And did you do that all in center, or how did you do your dialysis?
Well, I went 3 times a week, and I started out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then I went to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. When I took time off from work to, get adjusted or heal, I went in the morning, early in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. But when I went back to work, I went 3:30, 4, 5 o'clock at night. I did 3.5 hours. I started out 3 hours, and then 3 hours and 15 minutes, from 3 hours and 15 minutes to 3:30. When I did go to dialysis, I brought my Bible with me. I brought books, music, stuff to do. If I had to,
Oh yeah.
study something or read something, you barely ever would catch me sleeping. If you ever caught me sleeping, I had to have been sick, had a fever or something like that. I like to look around, watch what's going on because I was.
I'm the same way because, like, first
Yeah,
of all, it's not easy to sleep in that environment. First of all, and second of all, it's
no,
like, you know what, I just want to do something. Like I just, I did a lot of, reading. I did a lot of listening to podcasts. I did a lot of like
no,
listening to music, and the dialysis techs would trip out because I like comedy. We talked about that a little before we get on, and so in the middle of
yeah,
dialysis, I would just be laughing, and they're like, "What's going on?" That kind of thing. I'm like, I'd point to my phone and be like, "This is hilarious," that kind of thing. So no, I understand that, and dialysis, and you and I had a conversation the other night. Like, it's the toughest thing I ever went through, and the
yeah,
thing is, that's why I try to go by my clinic from time to time, just because, like, there's a lot of people in there that aren't even eligible for transplants, but they're still happy for you, that kind of thing. And it kind of
yes,
brings them hope and that kind of thing.
hmm,
And the people that work at dialysis clinics like it too, because, like, they're not always used to people making it out. That kind of thing,
yes,
and so it kind of brings hope to them. But it's one of those things that because we've been through that, it makes us more passionate about helping those people.
oh
Obviously,
yeah,
like, when it hits close to home, like, especially if it's you, it kind of, it's a whole new thing. But I do have a question about it because, just the little bit I know you, I have a strange suspicion that you were working on causes like well before you ever got sick. Like,
mm,
you strike me as someone that's either running around the world or you're asleep. Like you know what I'm saying? And you have such a good heart that I feel like it came naturally to you to, help obviously the causes that you're particularly, but even your husband, that kind of thing. And I feel like just listening to you that your husband had kind of the same mind that you both wanted to bring awareness to these things, these
oh
afflictions
yeah,
that you've been
sure,
given, that kind of thing.
sure, sure.
Uh, and so is that kind of something that you were raised like? Did your family kind of promote that in you or foster that in you, or is that just like a personality thing that you're like, hey, I you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, I was an advocate in the center, but my parents always encouraged me to be respectful and be helpful. My dad was in the army and stuff like that. My mother worked for the post office and everything. And I mean, I used to, write songs and music or perform, and my parents would really indulge me and let's say Lisa's going to sing, or Lisa's got a production, or Lisa wrote something, and they allowed me to have a little doctor office I had. I used to bandage up the people in the community. Even to this day, my friends say, "Hey, what's up, Dr. Lisa?" And they haven't called me that since I was like little or young, because I had gave out candy. If I gave you a shot, a fake shot, or sometimes it was I
Yeah.
shouldn't
Oh
have been
yeah.
playing with the the sticking needle, but yeah. So I always liked helping people or doing something with them or for them in some way.
No,
Thank
I mean, that's completely awesome. And we didn't talk about this yet, but where are you from? Where do I know where, and a lot of people that are listening probably know where you live now, but are you from there, or where, how was, where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I lived in Brooklyn most of my life, lived in Queens 20 years, and lived in Long Island for about 3 months. But yeah, born and raised in Brooklyn, Bedford Stuyvesant. Bed-Stuy, do or die, they used to call it, but
Yeah,
now I
yeah,
think they call it some other name now, Brooklyn Heights or something like that. But we're a lot of brownstones, and my parents owned the
yeah.
house that was there. I grew up in the house. They bought the house when I was born. So yes, it was definitely Brooklyn where I grew up. A very close knit neighborhood and block, and people knew each other very well in the block and the community and neighborhood. Maybe that's why everywhere I live, move, or work, I always get a connect, make myself into that neighborhood, so I can, get more done, do more. They know me, I know them, kind of thing.
No, that makes sense. And one thing I know is my mom's family is originally from Brooklyn. And that's some tough people. That's some tough people. I guess they lived at the corner of Flatbush and Avenue M or whatever. When my mom moved, but her whole family was from there. So and I love New York. It's a little bit different from where I live, though. A little bit different.
Okay.
So what did your begin in advocacy when it came to kidney disease or transplants? Like, where did it start? How did it look?
Well, I noticed that when I was on dialysis that there was a lot of people in there complaining about a lot of different stuff. I noticed some of them were maybe not married or lonely or didn't have money. They was just having different issues, and it bothered me. So I'm looking, because since I'm up anyway, I'm looking around, and then some of them would talk to me. I'm looking around and I'm noticing that there was no help for them and nothing they could do, because the social workers go but so far. They make sure your
Yeah,
Medicare is right, and they make sure that you're getting your treatment. You went to Social Security. That's about it. That's as far as it goes. If it went any further than that, maybe I missed it. But I
you're no.
know that's all I saw. So I'm
Actually,
like, what
I'm
about?
happy that it went that far because I encountered one that didn't even do that much. So, but no,
Yeah.
you're exactly right. They do stop. That kind of thing.
Well, I saw people cold. I remember a man had died in his car, and I was telling them, listen, you got to do something or find something for him because it's very cold outside. We become anemic and all kind of stuff being on dialysis. And he ended up dying in his car. I was very upset. I cried. And you do see many of people die. You see many of people come in the dialysis center strong and vibrant. And then you see some like just give up hope, break down, change. You know what I mean? They don't talk no
No,
more. They're not sociable. They're grumpy, or they're upset, or they're in pain or something, or they're being
yeah,
wheeled in. They was walking, now they're being wheeled in, carried
yep,
in, amulet in, you know what I mean? On a stretcher, in and out. I'm like, the blood of Jesus, what's happening here? So
no,
that's what made me say, you know what? Let me type up and write up this list. And this list has gotten bigger and longer, but it's one of my general lists, and I do it for New York, but it does stretch out to other communities and other places, because some of them are 1-800 numbers, so they would help or have the same place, but in your country, your city, or wherever you live. So
hmm
I had that general one, but I'm working on I do other stuff. When people call me from another place like California, I find the help in California, but I try to get them to do their own homework. You live there, find out what your community do for you, what can they do for you, what's out there for you, so you'll
yeah,
know, so you can
yeah.
fight better or at least live better.
No, you're exactly right, and people don't always think about it, but it's easier for you to know the go-to thing in your community because New York is, I live in Charleston. There's probably more people in Brooklyn than there is in the entire Charleston area,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And so it's going to be different here. Also how our state is set up. We don't have
right.
as many of those programs. So we need to be a little bit more diligent when we're looking for things, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. And,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and it's awesome that you're out there and I've been the recipient of some of your lists recently, and it's incredible because literally you probably just started with a few things, and as someone asked you a question that you didn't know before, you added it to your list, that kind of thing, and,
yes,
and so
that's true.
the wealth of experience you have with it is just incredible, and the fact that a lot of people even get those answers, but they don't compile a list to share it with other people. So the fact that you were thinking of other people enough to be like, hey, you know what, this could be useful. And I'm sure a lot of people that you've come in contact with has used it. I mean, because, literally and it's no pressure help with you too. Like, you just have it available if someone needs it, that kind of thing. And that's awesome. And that way they know they can come to you.
Well,
I
I
mean, that's,
post that list. I post the list. I text that list. I email the list. And I'm trying to type up another one, but when I went out on disability, I didn't get the chance to finish that particular list. But you know what I mean? I was trying to add lupus and scoliosis and stuff like that. But they have so many, they have maybe 40 things already on this list. But sometimes you just find something else to add, you know what I mean? So, but but you be surprised what's in your neighborhood or country that helps you or fight for you. Maybe even pay a bill, give car fare to you, or help you to get a home attendant, or give you a program that will feed you because you maybe can't cook or stand up or cook. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
help you to even save money, or send yourself or your grand or your children to college just because you have a disability or illness. Maybe nothing's wrong with you, but you need to know this about your family or your friends, or just to pay it forward to your community.
No, I mean that's completely true because there are people out there that want to help, and sometimes we get kind of overwhelmed with trying to figure that out. But in the end, like if we take it one step at a time,
Mm,
like if you're struggling and
yeah,
you need your light bill paid, like if you can just get that taken care of this month, then you'll breathe easier. You'll have a little bit time to kind of I don't know, relax for just a moment. And when
yeah,
you're struggling like that, with your health and with the other problems, financially, like that makes your health worse, that kind of thing, because
yeah.
your stress makes you worse. So I mean, it's awesome that you decided that you wanted to just kind of find some of those answers for people, that kind of thing. So we talked a little bit before about how you've done just about everything when it comes to the this kind of advocacy. So I know you've traveled a lot. What's the kind of I know this is a random, not a particularly important question, but
Take it down.
what's the favorite place you've ever visited advocating for kidney disease or
Wow.
transplant?
Well, I mean, I don't know what nowhere I haven't went to do it, because I've been to Paris, you know what I mean? I've been to, and they were very nice. I mean, especially the people in the hotel. Sometimes you have to start with the hotel people, and then
Hmm.
sometimes you start with the dialysis people. And to be honest with you, I've had a lot of doors slammed in my face because they say, "Oh, you're not a doctor," or some patients would say, "I've been on dialysis longer than you. What can you tell me, girl?" I get the sweet, and I get the loving, and I get the nasty, and I get the leave me alone and shut up, or you get the deaf ear turned to you. And then you get to some said, "Oh, thank God, I really needed this stuff." And those are the things that put the little tear in your eye, give your heart some hope and some glimmer. It's a thankless job. You wasn't asking for thanks or money, even though you can use some money, don't get me wrong. But I've been just, oh man, where haven't I been? I went to Virginia one time because someone in my family got sick, and my sister and I went, and my niece. And when I got to the hospital and I said hello, and she said, "Hi, you're Lisa Baxter." And I'm looking around, I'm like, "What? You know me?" She said, "Everybody know you." I didn't even know what she's talking about, but I was just surprised and blown away. I didn't feel like no star or nothing. I was trying to figure out how she know me, but then I forgot that I contact every dialysis center everywhere from China all the way back. I was exhausted doing that because with my company, I'm everybody that lick the stamp, stuff the envelope, make the phone call, all kind of
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, from the bumper stickers and all of the flyers and stuff that I make, the keychains, the magnets, all is coming out of our money just to bring kidney awarenesses and visiting schools and stuff. You just don't know who know you or who finally gets it. But you're grateful
No.
for that little inch of people that get it and got some help from what you're trying to do, because you're not going to reach everybody, even though you want to and you try to and your heart want to, but you just got to be realistic to know that you're not. So, but
No.
you got to still try. I got to still put it forward, even if I get the door slammed in my face. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's discouraging, it hurts your feelings, you get tired and you get exhausted, especially when you have a full-time job or two full-time jobs, or sick yourself, or have a sick husband. It is plenty on your plate. And sometimes you wish it was a team of you or a bunch of you all together. And sometimes these different entities that you deal with. Because I mean, I volunteer at Jamaica Hospital, the Donors Network, Live on New York. I stuff envelopes. I go see people. I register people at motor vehicles. Some of everything. And this stuff can get so exhausting and tiring. You don't know where to stop or when to stop or where to get off. But sometimes you just need a vacation. You need to sit down, regroup, refuel the comeback. Because sometimes
Yeah.
you're doing too much, you start making mistakes. And I've been there too. But
Yeah.
I loved everywhere I went. I must say a lot of them was welcoming. Every door was not slammed in my face. California was interesting. Okay, Uh,
Yeah.
so the
Um,
South was interesting too.
oh, well, I can only imagine because, yeah, I bet the South would be kind of challenging. And, we oddly enough, for kind of a low populated area, have a pretty high rate of dialysis patients because the healthcare down here isn't as good. And, let's be honest, diet and exercise isn't either. So I wanted to ask you, something too about, so, I was in a transplant meeting recently, and they were talking about the percent. So they just rezoned, or they're rezoning the lines for, I guess, organ procurement. And South Carolina is now going to be in the same region as New York because we have a 53%, I guess, registered donor list. And I think New York's like 22, 23, something like that. So my question for you is, why do you think it's so low in New York as opposed to other areas? And I think Lisa might be gone, or something like that. But what I was talking about is, so in South Carolina we have a really high organ donation registration. 53%. I think we're in the top, I don't know, few in the country. New York's known for being low. So now in South Carolina, because of how they're changing things, it's going to be slightly more difficult to get a deceased donor in South Carolina because some of the organs are actually going to be going up to New York in order to kind of help supplement what they have. And my question to Lisa was going to be, why she thought that was, because you would think in kind of a urban area there'd be more people willing to donate. They're a little little less trusting of doctors in a little bit more rural areas. But so that was kind of a question I had for her. I'm not really sure where she went. But and I'm not getting any feedback. So like, one of the things I wanted to talk to Lisa about also is kind of the racial component of it, because I was having a discussion with somebody about in the African American community, the numbers of people that are organ donors are pretty low. And so I was going to ask her why she thought that was too, because I'm curious what would be effective about trying to change that, because obviously there's lots of people in general that need organs, and obviously African Americans are part of that. So I hope I can get her back on and talk to her a little bit about that. But so so one of the other things I want to talk about though is I'm going to have wait, I think Lisa might be back. Let's hope. Okay. All right. So Lisa, what I was saying is I heard in a transplant meeting down here recently that they're kind of rezoning the regions for deceased donors,
Mhm.
because South Carolina and New York are going to be in the same region, because South Carolina has a 53% organ donation sign up, and New York's like 22 or 23%.
Right.
To you is, why do you think it's so low in New York?
Well, a lot of people, I believe they're afraid to donate a kidney. And sometimes it's because they don't understand all the risk. And then sometimes because they do understand all the risk of doing this. You know what I mean? They don't see the benefit of it. They see just the fear of it. And I think if you're not going to do it for your own family, you might not do it for anybody else. But I do know many people out there have done it for people that they didn't know, or somebody that they cared about and loved. You know what I mean? But I think it's just because they don't know, or they don't understand, or they wasn't given enough education about it.
Well, see, and I understand that, but my thing is, South Carolina is for the most part rural, and traditionally in rural areas you have a lot poorer education, a lot less knowledge, all those things. So it actually kind of surprised me that South Carolina was, one of the top in the country because, our education system normally hovers around 48, 49, 50, somewhere around there. And traditionally, like, those are the people that seem to be the most scared of it. And so I was actually kind of surprised by the New York number. And I know that, there's more to New York than just New York City, but obviously most of the state, the vast majority of the population is, the New York metro area. So I was kind of surprised by that. But now what it's going to do is it's going to mean people in South Carolina, and this is obviously for deceased donors, people in South Carolina are going to have a slightly harder time getting deceased donors because some of those organs are going to now be going up to New York. But obviously, we need to help out. Just because they're in New York doesn't mean they don't need the same organs we do. That kind of
Oh,
thing.
sure.
They obviously need more.
Hmm.
And the other question I posed kind of while I was filling space and I mentioned that I might ask you about this. So, I was having a conversation on Facebook with someone about this a few weeks ago. So, um, the level of African American organ donors, like living and deceased, is extremely low. And so someone posted on this site I'm a part of, or this Facebook group I'm a part of, it's based kind of off of minorities and stuff. And I just asked the question, like,
Sure.
what do you think the answer to that is? And I know it's not an easy answer, but what do you think the answer is? And then I'll tell you what this gentleman was suggesting to me. So how do you see it?
Well, that's funny that you would say that because even when you asked me the first time, you was asking about New Yorkers in general. And to be honest with you, before I even get to the race thing, some people just don't get involved.
Yeah,
Some people just don't really care. And then some people, I guess with us, I don't know if I can speak for all of us, but sometimes you just trying to live your best life. You know what I mean? You just trying to live good. And any chance of getting cut or an operation, let me tell you, we don't like operations. I went to never having an operation to having about 5. And I survived all of them, thank God. You know what I mean? My church was playing New Life Cathedral in Brooklyn. Please, they was praying. But they don't, I mean, some of us don't go to the doctor. Some of us aren't healthy. Some of us don't eat right. And an operation just might kill us or put us over to the edge. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
mean, I could be wrong, but that's the way I feel because I went to many places before it even got the kidney disease and saw from being a social worker for 23 years how many people never go to a doctor or never do anything unless they got sick or anything like that. Go to a dentist unless they had a toothache. They don't go unless the job asks you for a physical. So how are you going to ask me to give somebody an organ? That's serious. I thought going to the doctor was serious. Or you making me to go for this checkup. Now you're talking about giving somebody an organ, a piece of me. Something got to be birthed and came out of me. Cut out with that big thing. You know what I mean? Your imagination can go wild with you sometimes when you dealing with an illness or a sickness. And then I know with our race, it has to be crucial for us to do it, or we have to either need to do it or we have to be backed into a wall to do it. That's what I
yeah.
believe and I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this guy's thoughts was similar in the sense that he said there's a huge mistrust for the medical system, and so like they
Yes.
don't want to go unless they have to. He also had a suggestion, and I don't know if this is a race thing. This is kind of with everyone that a lot of times people don't want to know things, like
They avoid it.
and you and I even talked about this the other day that the other thing that happens is people don't care that much about it until they have to, until
That's
they
right.
don't have a choice, until their brother, their mother, that kind of thing. And
That's right.
that's normal. Like I signed up to be an organ donor, when I got my license, but like I didn't do it because I thought I'd be an organ donor. I just thought, hey, this seems like the right thing to do. Like I didn't really think about it. And now I'm like, wow, I'm glad I
I
made that
did
decision a
too.
long time ago.
Yeah, I signed years and years ago, even before I even got a kidney myself. I signed up to be an organ donor because I figure, well, I got some great parts, maybe not the kidneys, but the rest of me is pretty good.
Yeah,
Maybe not the eyes either. You might go blind using my eyes. So I don't
yeah,
know, but I signed up, for skin tissue. There's so many things you can sign up for. One of us can save 8 lives or so. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you have on me that can work, and I'm already gone, I'm being with the Lord, by all means, use it to help somebody.
Yeah, I know. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Yeah,
I found this
I'm not
interesting.
taking it with me.
I found this interesting when I went to register for my transplant. I went to the bottom floor and went to the registration desk. The lady, and she was super nice. Don't get me wrong, but she proceeded to tell me that she didn't think it was part of God's plan to do transplants. And we had a brief conversation, but I just said, and I think I even told you this, but I said to her, that's interesting. I was like, I would think you would think that, the doctors that came up with transplants, the doctors that are doing transplants, the people that have decided to donate their organs, things like that,
Mhm.
I think God provided that also. He gave us the tools to fix things, that kind of thing. And so, I feel like this gentleman also said he thinks one of the biggest steps of kind of reversing that in the African American community is through churches.
Uh-huh.
He said that if a pastor is behind it, a lot of times they can get their congregation to get behind it a little bit more. They have a lot of trust for the pastors and things like that, as they should,
Yeah.
but I'm going to have him on my show sometime in December because I thought he had some interesting points and things like that. And so as soon as I was talking with him, I'm like, hey, are you free? That kind of thing. Cause you've
Yeah.
got interesting
Yeah.
perspectives. And I think he got his transplant 1979, I want to say, or 19, it was a long time ago. I was like, that's around the year I was born. I was like, and you've
Wow.
had that kind of thing. So,
Woo!
yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. So,
I ain't mad at him.
yeah, fair
Oh,
enough.
my archbishop talked me into going on the list. Him and my husband. Yeah, but I didn't know anything. I thought somebody once told me you need all your organs to go to heaven. And this
Yeah,
when I was younger, I thought you needed the whole body, but you don't even use your body there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean. So and I guess some things you don't know. You was just something is learned behavior. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
yeah.
some things you think that's good or right, but sometimes when you see the real result of it, then you start to understand and want to do it. But it takes all of that to get you to do it.
No, you're exactly right. There's no question. And yet again, it's one of those things that like, I didn't know anything about it until I needed to, that kind of thing. So, that's why it's glad that we have people like you, and me, hopefully, to just kind of get the word out. Like if we can reach one person about the importance of it, then, we've done the reason we were put here, that kind of thing. But we're about out of time. So, but what I want to do before I leave is I want to give you a chance to kind of like, if there's anything you can tell my audience right now, like that you deem important, that you need to share or something like that. I want to give you a chance to do that before we get off the air.
Okay. Well, I would say if you're a caregiver of a dialysis patient or any kind of person that's sick, be patient with them. I know sometimes when a person is sick, they're grumpy, they're grouchy, they're in pain, they don't want to be a burden to you. So they just very aggravated that they can't do the things they used to do. So sometimes they'll take their emotions out on you. So go to the bathroom and cry, go somewhere and get angry, get somebody to give you a break from them so you come back strong, stuff like that. Show them a lot of love and care. Kill them with it. Kill them with kindness as much as you can.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it really will calm them down. Sometimes they just need some love or to go somewhere fun or somewhere they used to go that they haven't went in a long time. See somebody or visit somebody they haven't seen in a long time. I've been a caregiver 3 times and it's been rough. So I've been on both sides of the sick person and the caregiver.
Yeah.
And they both are hard because I don't like being a burden either. I'm strong myself. I make myself do stuff even when it's too hard for me to do. If I have to crawl or do it. So sometimes I have to not be stubborn or take the help or because I'm not being trouble. But sometimes I can see it in the person's face I'm getting on their nerves.
Yeah.
So it makes
Yeah.
me upset. So I start doing it myself, even though I might fall doing it, trip doing it, be in a lot of pain while I'm doing it. So I just say this to you. Either side that you on, just show love to the person that's trying. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's all I'm going to say to you. Show, and I'll lastly get your resource list going. Start it. I don't care where you live at. Start digging. Look at that welfare center, the social security place, the neighborhood thing, the library in your town, Catholic Charities United Way, Salvation Army, whatever it is. I want you to look it up. All right.
All
So
right,
learn
that's
something
awesome.
about this. Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Thank you very much for coming on. I'll definitely have you on again because yeah, there's so much more to ask you and information to get from you and learn from you.
Aw.
But thank you very much for coming on, and I'll obviously talk to you again soon. If anyone has any questions for Lisa, you can find her on Facebook. She also has a show. What it's on Sunday nights, right?
Yeah, the Lisa
What?
Baxter show is
Yeah,
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
every
on Sunday night.
Sunday.
Every Sunday. Awesome. You need to check it out. She's absolutely incredible, and how she is on this show, she's that and more on her own show. So thank you again, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Thank you
So
for having me, and a
uh,
million blessings.
all right, thanks, Lisa. All right,
Okay.
everybody. I want to yet again thank Lisa Baxter for coming on. She's an awesome kidney warrior, awesome kidney advocate, and just kind of a blessing for me to have her on the show. But this is your November 7th edition of Kidney Disease Editorial Edition. It's only on Urban Health Outreach Media. You can find it every Thursday at 8 o'clock. And next week, I'm going to be having on a gentleman from, I think he's from California. His name is Ken also, and we're going to talk to him about his vast knowledge of kidney disease and things like that. He's a great guy. So we'll be talking to him, and I'll see you next Thursday, November 14th, from 8 to 8:30 on Urban Health Outreach Media. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.